understanding domestic violence, we need to go to the depth of domestic violence. What is it? Why does it take place? What are the characteristics and qualities of men who exercise domestic violence? And what are the qualities and characteristics of women who may be subjected to domestic violence? Violence, by definition, we see, is an emotionally charged act marked by aggression, involving infliction of hurt or injury to the victim. So one party or one person is trying to hurt the other person aggressively. This is violence and a violent act. Domestic violence is that type of violence or that violent act that takes place inside the boundary of the home and which is exercised by intimate partners, people who have been living together with each other, who chose to live together at one stage. And when they exercise violent acts and that hurts the other person or injures the other person, then it is domestic violence, which the people outside the home are probably not aware of. It is only the members of the family and the children who know that such acts are taking place inside this household. By definition, domestic violence or partner abuse is the physical, sexual or psychological maltreatment of a spouse, a former spouse, or an intimate partner so as to gain or maintain power or control. Now, what does the person want to gain control over? It can be financial resources, it can be independence, independent thinking, decision making, or any other similar issue. Domestic violence can be of different forms. For example, the first and very commonly seen form is physical assault. That includes attack, injury, burning, acid burning, and things like that. And this is the type of violence which we talk about most commonly. Sexual assault is another form. Psychological assault is a form of violence about which we talk little and which is punished very little, very rarely. Psychological assault may include threats, blackmailing, abusing, ridiculing, making fun of the other person, making fun of the other person's physiques or complexion, emotional abuse, and pressure of undesirable behaviors, which the woman does not want to indulge in, but she is pressurized to do those things. Then it can be in the form of financial restrictions, like the husband is not giving money to the wife or children. That can be one form of violent acts. And deprivation, not providing food, not providing shelter, clothing, and the basic necessities of the life to the wife or children in the family. Domestic violence, according to demographics, we see, which includes wife battering, is likely to occur in families where they have low income, they belong to the lower socioeconomic class, there is unemployment in the family, or there is very limited income in the family, families which are isolated from relatives and community. It has been seen, especially when we look at our society, which is a collectivistic society, we see that if some pressure from the extended family is there, then many people can be stopped from indulging into violent acts. But in families where there is no connection with the extended family and the relatives, the people may indulge into such acts more commonly. Alcohol abuse and other drug abuses may be a contributing factor. Domestic violence has been seen to occur with women who are young in age, they are less educated, they are financially dependent, and they belong to the lower socioeconomic class. And we look at the characteristics of men who indulge into violent acts. We see that these are the men who are young in age, they are also less educated, they also belong to the lower socioeconomic class, and they are unemployed or financially overburdened. So the financial resources are very little and meager. Drug abusers and those who had experienced domestic violence as children in their homes. So they had role models of fathers or other members in the society who indulge in domestic violence. It is seen that most victims, that is women, do not report domestic violence because of shame and embarrassment. They don't want to expose themselves to others. And then the fear of punishment, that if they go to the authorities like police, and if the family comes to know about it, the husband comes to know about it, then they might be punished even more severely. Then fear of breaking a relationship. Most women, of course, do not like to be subjected to domestic violence, but they do not report it because they want to keep the relationship intact. They don't want to break the relationship. They want the violence to end, but not the relationship. Then there is a hope for improvement in the relationship. So many women would tolerate such behaviors because they are hopeful that at some stage the other person might change. Impact of domestic violence. Domestic violence has a very negative impact upon the victim. The very first thing that happens or that may happen is hurt or shattered self-esteem, heightened self-doubt, shattered self-confidence, then fear of more torture. I may be tortured more. Again, hopelessness, helplessness, and passive acceptance that this is a social norm, this is a masculine norm which is happening, and I should accept it and I should adjust according to it because I am a woman and this is a woman's norm. Possible solutions may include, as we always say, law enforcement, women's education and awareness of legal rights, men's education and awareness of responsibilities, and of course, women empowerment. Because research shows that when women are empowered, they are financially independent or stable, then they are less likely to experience domestic violence.